music means it's time for a brand new Village Vice. He is Zach Blackerby. I'm Brad Law. Thanks for joining us today. Zach, it is game week. We're in game week. We got basketball this week. We got New Mexico State on Saturday. It's the week before the Iron Bowl, but don't you dare look ahead. Don't you dare look ahead. Actually, you can look ahead if you want to because you're not a player or coach. In any event,
say that's a pet peeve of mine when people say, no, we can't look ahead to the Iron Bowl. It's like, I'm not playing.
Yeah.
I can look ahead to whatever game I want to, and so can you, Auburn fan watching. But yeah.
Unless you're a coach or a player, you can look ahead. It's fine. And think about what a circus this place is going to be in about a week and a half.
I can't wait.
Pretty fun to think about. All right. We didn't talk. We went the whole show yesterday. And we talked about the great start. We talked about just the curb stomping and the fun it was to watch this Auburn team play against Arkansas the way it did from start to finish. We didn't talk a lot of defense. And this defense has earned some recognition. So let's talk about him. And let's start with Jalen McLeod. Hugh Freeze in his press conference Monday again said that he's only now back to 100% after the high ankle sprain that limited him at the start of the year. And man, Zach, he is explosive. He looks like a different player than he did in September.
Yeah, and the matchup between him and Arkansas's offensive tackles, I mean, it was a mismatch. It was very, very bad, and they didn't have an answer for him. They didn't have an answer for a lot of the defensive guys. But what McLeod did to the Arkansas offense was, I mean, there were moments and stretches of that game, Brad, where he was ruining everything Arkansas tried to do. And it's been a minute since Auburn had that type of pass rusher. Derek Hall kind of went through spurts where he had it, but I'm thinking more of what Jeff Holland did or Carl Lawson. But it's nice, and the fact that he's playing his best football, which has been a theme, that's a theme across this entire roster, going into arguably the most important game of the season in a week and a half. Like you said, that's a good spot to be in.
I think you give a lot of credit to Marcus Harris and Justin Rogers, Jason Jones, Lawrence Johnson. Those guys creating a push in the middle. They're leaving teams unable to attack the middle. And that's forcing them to either wait or move to the outside. And yeah, Jalen's just a matchup nightmare for an offensive tackle. And it wasn't just against Arkansas. The bye week and, I mean, time in general, but here Jalen's numbers coming off the bye week. In the 5 games since the open date, all 8.5 of his tackles for loss, all 5.5 of his sacks have come in the 5, and 3 of his 5 other QB hurries this year. Yeah. Though that's what he's done since the bye week, and that's LSU, Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt, Arkansas. That's not non-conference. That's not UMass and Samford. He's getting it done in conference play, and I really like Zach, especially as you look ahead to trying to attack a Milroe at Alabama. The combination of McLeod on the edge and Asante either off the other edge or up the middle. I just think those two guys together really excite me as an Auburn fan when trying to defend dual threat quarterbacks, because I think you have a better chance to pin those guys in and limit what they can do with their legs.
Yeah, with the exception of Daniels, the LSU game, they've done a great job limiting quarterbacks that can move pretty well. They've done a great job, and we talked about that going into Saturday's game and then added the caveat, but the way KJ Jefferson runs is different, and arguably they did better at stopping him than the other guys. So props to this defensive front, like you said. Going into last Saturday, Arkansas was the second most sacked team in the SEC, with Alabama being the first. I believe that's changed now because Auburn sacked Arkansas so often. But this is a team, when you look at Alabama, and they've gotten better at pretty much every facet of offense, including protecting Milroe. But this is still an Alabama team that can give up a pass rush. They can allow their quarterback to be pressured. And McLeod's going to be a huge, huge part of that, Brad.
And by the way, Jaden Daniels at LSU, especially given what he's done of late, holding him to 93 yards rushing, it's kind of like, no, we're not going to make excuses and say that's good. You don't take moral victories. I understand that, but he's done that to a lot of teams, and he's done more than that to a lot of teams too. So yes, looking ahead and not back. I do. Man, do I like this defensive line, and I like the ability of guys to be explosive from the linebacker spot, whether it's a middle linebacker spot or one of the jacks. And a lot of that is based on Jalen McLeod now being healthy and realizing his potential. Remember, this is a guy who was either committed to or was on his way to Virginia Tech. He was a high level recruit coming out of high school and happened to wind up at Appalachian State. He's where he belongs. He's able to perform on this stage.
Yeah, and look, if you have a weak link on your offensive front, Auburn has proven that during this winning streak, they will find it. I mean, Jason Jones took advantage of it a week ago. Marcus Harris has benefited from this as well. It was Jalen McLeod's time. That was his mismatch. And look, there were several plays where if McLeod would not have gotten there, somebody else would have, just because they were swarming the pocket from all sides. So this is a fun group. And the pass rush was one of my two biggest questions for this team going into the season. And it took a while just because of that unfortunate ankle sprain that Coach Freeze talked about at his press conference on Monday. He's finally got that behind him. And you can tell. I mean, he looks like a totally different person. McLeod does.
No question about it. And I'm looking at the number of sacks for there we go. No, I can't find it. Okay. I was looking for team sacks the last 3-4 games for the team. And I should have looked at that ahead of time. But yeah, there's no question. They're taking advantage of mismatches, and they're using their explosiveness. Again, the middle guys pushing the middle of the opposing offensive line back, or at least not being pushed forward, enables those linebackers to come up and fill gaps, make plays, and they're making them. You're also not seeing a lot of missed tackles, missed opportunities the last few weeks. There have been some big quarterbacks to try and tackle these last few games, and they're doing that. Sure, tackling is better now than it was at the beginning of the year. It's never been really a bad defense, but they're getting better. How about the stat that they've allowed 20 points or less 3 straight SEC games for the first time since 2016?
I'm actually surprised it's been that long since Auburn's done that, but that just shows how hard it is to pull that off. It's a weird year in the conference. It seems like offenses across the board are down despite feeling good conference-wide about a bunch of quarterbacks going into the season. It just hasn't really played out that way, but you look at it, and, I mean, you kind of got the feel pretty early against Arkansas, especially when Auburn jumped up, like, by 3 scores. I was texting with some friends, and I'm like, I don't want this to happen by any means, but there's a real chance Auburn could not score again and win this game.
Yeah.
That's probably the case, right? And we talked about Rocket Sanders getting hurt, and obviously that impacted Arkansas's offense. But I don't think the score would have been much different, if at all, if Rocket Sanders had been healthy. I mean, this defensive front seven, I said it all last week, the mismatch was Auburn's defensive front seven versus Arkansas's offensive line. And it wouldn't have mattered if Rocket or anybody else was in there. I mean, this was a shellacking. Hugh Freeze said it on Monday, talking about how, like, you don't really see butt whoopings like that in this conference. You just don't really see it. And this front seven is going to have its hands full this weekend, Brad. And he was asked, Freeze was asked about New Mexico State's quarterback, Diego Pavia. He's thrown for over 2,000 yards. He's rushed for over 700. I mean, he's a dynamic player as well. So the mobile quarterback trend will continue for both of Auburn's remaining games in the regular season.
And I say good. That's good, because you stay in the mode of preparing for a dual threat quarterback. You stay in the mode of having to be ready for a guy who you rush to contain more so than rushing to force him out of the pocket and to do things. So the team speed on this defense on the edge. Vanderbilt tried to run outside, couldn't do it. State couldn't run. Most of their plays, like, I remember the talking point of how most of State's runs were outside of the tackles, and Auburn was ready and handled it. Great. And you know what that enables you to do when a team can't run the ball effectively, can't get outside effectively, and when you build a lead, you force teams into more predictable passing situations. Auburn's pass defense this year has been really, really good. Like, LSU and Georgia passed for over 300 yards. Ole Miss is the only other team to pass for over 200 against Auburn this year. They got 202. Three straight opponents under 200, and Ole Miss just barely got. Now they were balanced; they had 200 rushing, but and you lost the game, and that's ultimately all that matters. But you're seeing a lot of evidence of this sound defensive play, whether it's stats, whether it's tape, teams trying to get outside. They can't. There's just so many things to point to give you confidence in this defense coming down the stretch.
No question about it. And I don't think we're going to see anything crazy against New Mexico State. Yes, New Mexico State's a better team than what a lot of people thought. But
Are they better than Arkansas, though?
I don't know. I haven't watched enough of them to have an opinion on that yet. I will watch some of them over the next few days before we really jump into that game. But my gut says no, Brad, but I haven't sat down and watched them yet.
I think SEC talent, no matter who it is, I don't think they're better than Arkansas. Are they better than Vanderbilt?
Maybe. I don't know. I haven't watched them, but but you got to think from a talent standpoint, the trenches is where this mismatch is going to be again, right? Yeah. Like I just don't see the New Mexico State offensive line being able to handle Auburn's front seven for 60 minutes. I just don't see that happening. So I think we're on the same page there.
Sure.
Yeah. All right. We got to talk about one of my favorite players on this team in a second, Brad Law. But first, our friends at mybookie.ag. It's the best place to wager on all of your sports action. Mybookie.ag right now, 21.5-point favorites are the Auburn Tigers. If you think, well, they beat Arkansas by more than that on the road, surely they're going to beat New Mexico State by more than 22 points on Saturday. And if you feel confident about that, as you should, I think, head over to mybookie.ag. And when you make your first deposit, use promo code next round. They've got a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. Brad Law, up to $1,000. So be sure to give our friends mybookie.ag some love. And I think you should give the Auburn Tigers some love this weekend as well. Also, Southern Miss money line against Mississippi State is very juicy. Ooh. It's very, very juicy this week. So mybookie.ag, use promo code next round when you make that deposit. Brad, the DJ has got us falling in love again.
Go DJ. That's my DJ. DJ James, when I talked to him after the Vanderbilt game, he was so happy that teams finally threw at him because he'd been avoided all year. And you know what? My goodness, Arkansas tried it again. He's got 5 pass breakups the last 2 games. I say just keep on throwing at him at your own peril. I like DJ in any one-on-one matchup. There it is.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's pretty good. And I was high on him all summer, just kind of continuing the trend of Auburn having a shutdown corner. I mean, all the way back to Carlton Davis, to Jamel Dean, to Noah Igbenogany, to Roger McCreary, to DJ James. I think it's going to be Kane Lee next year. I mean, they've had a pretty special run at shutdown corner. And DJ James has carried that mantra, I guess, for the last 2 seasons. He was the main guy last year, too. So I have a funny DJ James story. Can I share it real quick?
I wish you would.
Yeah. So we were set up to do an interview on my other show, Locked on Auburn. And he's a few minutes late. And I'm like, man, where is he? What's going on? And so he calls me, which players don't typically do. Players are big texters or DMers. They don't call. So I'm like, this is wild. And so I answer, and I can't understand what he's saying. And eventually he gets it across to me. He's like, he just left the dentist.
Oh, no.
And half of his mouth was numb. And he's like, dude, I can't do a podcast talking like this. I'm like, no, you can't. But I think about often what that would have been like interviewing a DJ James who had just been to the dentist and part of his mouth was numb. So that would have been funny. But I love DJ James. I love watching him play. I talk about it before, but 71% of this planet is covered by water and the rest is covered by DJ James.
In other words, it's like the song by Cobra Starship. Don't blame the world. It's the DJ's fault. It's DJ James who's shutting down other wide receivers.
What was that band name?
That brand name, of course, Zach, was Cobra Starship.
That's not real.
That is real. Yes.
No, it's not. You're just making stuff up, seeing if I catch it or not now.
No, Cobra Starship. Look it up.
Cobra Starship?
Was I wrong about Flight of the Conchords, Zach?
No, I was shocked how much the comment section sided with you. All right. Have you heard of Cobra Starship? Comment below.
One of the great
Comment
songs
below.
about DJs. Keontae Scott, by the way, when we're talking about the secondary, his addition has been, and we knew it would be, to like, we're not breaking news here, okay? But it's worth talking about what he gives to the secondary when you have a Keontae Scott and a DJ James and a Jalen Simpson, and Nehemiah's played maybe his best 2 games of the year the last 2 weeks. The offense is playing with confidence, but that defense right now is playing with supreme confidence. They don't think anybody's getting by them back there. And there's good reason for them to feel that way.
Yeah, and the starting defense didn't play a ton of snaps because they forced so many 3 and outs, and then the fourth quarter, a lot of starters didn't play anymore. So looking at Auburn's 53 total snaps played, the guys that we've mentioned led the way in total snaps. DJ James played 36 of those 53 snaps. Jalen Simpson played 35. Keontae Scott played 32. Nehemiah Pritchett played 32. So the defensive back room is staying on the field, and I love it.
Let me tell you what, too. Those guys playing 30-something snaps on a Saturday, and they're giving it 100%, but for 30-something snaps, what gives me the tingles is thinking of if you can come out and get an early lead and control the game Saturday and have those guys play a similar number of snaps, and then they've only played 60-something snaps total going into your regular season finale.
Oh, you want them fresh.
Rival.
You want them fresh.
Oh, yeah. Fresh as that Thanksgiving dressing, my friend.
I love
that. That makes me really excited to include that into what we already know is going to be just a red-hot oven of an atmosphere inside Jordan-Hare.
I respect that. I totally get that. So we will see what happens moving forward with the defensive back total snaps played, but I bet it's similar. I bet they do have the opportunity to stay fresh. Good point.
Yeah, I would imagine so too. All right, we're going to talk about something that doesn't have much to do directly with Auburn, and how nice is it that this silly season doesn't directly involve Auburn. It's we're talking about that at a restaurant Saturday night in Fayetteville, just watching all the unrest and the discontent. And we've had our share. We've gone through it.
We're done.
Kind of nice not to go through it.
The potato famine is over.
Yeah, nice not to go through it. So before we talk about some of that, though, it's a Manscaped Monday. A Manscaped Monday right now to upgrade your grooming game, men. Take it to the Ultrasphere. Go to manscaped.com for 25% off plus free shipping when you use the promo code VICE. High tech for low prices. Manscaped. We're talking about the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra, the 5th generation trimmer with 2 interchangeable next-gen skin-safe blade heads. It's a standard one for, taking a little off the top. And then the new foil blade to go smooth wherever your heart desires. And if you're taking it on the go, Manscaped has you covered there too. Talking about a travel case and even a travel lock feature to avoid any accidental powering and maybe weird looks at the airport too. I don't know why people give you weird looks. We're just talking about personal grooming and the best in men's grooming. Get 20% off plus free shipping with the code VICE at manscaped.com. I can promise you, Zach, I can promise you, you've never seen a ball trimmer look like a spaceship. If you have, you're a liar. Get yours today from our friends at Manscaped.
Or maybe not a spaceship, but maybe a Cobra Starship. Maybe. Maybe.
I like how you tie it together. So you're a pro. That's a professional move.
I looked them up. They exist. It's so funny that it has years active, 2005 through 2015, 2021.
All right. Honest to goodness, you looked them up because you thought I would make up a name Cobra Starship. You thought I might make up a name Cobra Starship and the name of the song too.
Yeah, I guess I did.
You give me a lot of credit for being creative. Speaking of being creative,
sure. Yeah, I think you're great.
Let me ask you a question.
Think you're the best? Think you're well groomed?
Well,
the Manscaped?
Manscaped Monday, baby.
That's right.
So, I got another line that I want to use, and I'm just going to leave it right on the table.
Got it.
Smart. Discretion's a better part of valor. Okay. So, would you rather be the head coach of the New England Patriots for the next 3 years or Texas A&M for the next 3 years? What's the better job? I heard, and I'll be on. I heard the guys on the next round ask this question this morning.
Yeah,
I thought it was so intriguing that I wanted to bring it to Village Vice.
I don't think it's relevant because I don't think anything's happening to the head coach.
No.
At New England.
Granted, no, I'm not saying there's going to be a change there, but I'm saying what's the better job over the next 3 years? Because the Patriots admittedly have a lot of work to do. They've got a total roster.
Are we taking money out of this? Because if it's comparable to Jim, like you're going to make so much more money at Texas A&M. It's not even going to be close.
Yeah, but Bill's making a ton in New England too.
But NFL coaches don't make what college coaches make. Like it's not comparable. And it's a tougher job, arguably, in the sense of like you got to travel and recruit and get your own players and stuff like that. It's just a different thing.
Right.
So I would think most coaches would prefer to coach in the NFL because it's less demanding. It's a different type of stress. You're spending all the time preparing for games. You're not out recruiting and watching high school games on Friday night. So I would say the NFL job would be better if we're taking money out of it.
Okay.
But
if you're putting money in, do you put up with everything else for a
certain... dude. Yeah. Especially if they're going to give you a buyout anything comparable to what an SEC coach is getting at a major school right now. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, because Jimbo's he didn't just make his $8-9 million a year for 6 years.
Right.
8 for 6 is 48, but that's not really what you made. $120 million for 6 years.
It's insane, dude.
It's really, really crazy.
It's insane.
You think if we don't do a good job, the next round guys would give us anything similar to like twice?
All we are to them is a tax write-off. We all know it. We all know it, and I'm cool with it.
I am too. Totally cool with it. Elsewhere in the league, I was a little surprised that Mississippi State went ahead and made the decision to fire Zach Arnett. Were you surprised? I'm not surprised that he didn't work there. I don't know what they gained by making the decision in the middle of November.
I think you can go ahead and start working on it and say, hey, we're in SEC. You want in the SEC? All right, let's do this in hopes that you get on somebody maybe before Arkansas does. I don't think Florida's going to cut ties with Napier. I think everything's staying square at South Carolina with Beamer. And so you can kind of say, hey, I don't think Mississippi State and Texas A&M are going to go after the same quality of candidate. But I think Mississippi State and Arkansas might. And so if I'm Mississippi State, yes, I'm moving on from Zach Arnett. It sounds like the way he handled everything was a total dumpster fire.
Yeah.
And, he gets the job. He fires all of Mike Leach's people is what, the story goes in Starkville. I think it was time to move on. I don't think it's a fit for what Leach was doing prior to that. And it was an about face. And I don't think Mississippi State wanted anything to do with him moving forward. So it was a bad decision. I understand it was probably an emotional one because of everything. I can't imagine what they went through last offseason. And I try to put myself in that situation. Like, what if you were covering this? Like, how in the world do you deal with that as a fan base and as a community? And so it was probably the easiest thing, but it certainly wasn't the best. And that's shown.
All right, let me ask you this, because Arkansas hasn't made a move yet. Sam Pittman is still the head coach. There's been no announcement. The Hog fans want a change to be made.
The rumblings in Fayetteville seem to be that he's going to retire. They're going to force him into retirement. They're not firing him. He gets to stay in Fayetteville, whatever. So that's to me, I think that's what's going to happen.
All right, let me ask you two 50-50 questions then regarding the silly season of coaching, okay?
Okay.
Given that SMU is going to the ACC and Rhett Lashley's recruiting Dallas, he's got SMU playing great, okay? They're a dangerous team. And you get to recruit Dallas. Is he coaching in the SEC next year?
Wow. I think Rhett Lashley would rather coach at Arkansas than SMU. So I'm not going to say yes, but if he's offered the job, I think you would take it.
But is SMU a better job than Arkansas? Because they're going to go to a power conference.
SMU is not a better job than
Arkansas. Going to a power conference.
Doesn't
You
matter.
have a better shot at winning the ACC at SMU with Dallas recruits than you do.
It's not a
at
better
Arkansas.
job. It's not a better job.
Okay. Is it just because it's the SEC?
Yeah, it just means more,
All right.
Brad. It's
Okay.
real. That's a real thing.
Next 50-50 question. Andy Avalos fired at Boise State.
Go get him. Go get your potato king.
Is Brian Harsin?
Hire Brian Harsin. Oh my goodness. I want him to get another job so bad, just because Auburn people are going to freak out at whoever gives him another chance. And I just can't wait, Brad. I can't wait for the national pundits, as well as whoever covers that school, to talk about it's his chance for redemption. Because Auburn treated him so bad, with totally leaving out all the details, that he didn't do the job. But everybody's going to be able to preach redemption. Oh, Auburn was so bad to you. Big, mean Auburn did you wrong. You get to win at Boise again or anywhere again. Then he's not going to recruit and he's going to lose. And
Does
so
I think it's going to happen.
I don't know. Probably not. I don't know how anybody would look at Brian Harsin and say, yes, we need to hire him.
Oh, see, I think it will. I'm all in on it happening. I think it's going to happen. I think they want him back.
I think
that's why they made the decision.
I think that's the best case scenario for both. Like for Harsin would be to go back to Boise.
I mean, he's already there living. So
of course,
right.
Of course, he never sold his house.
Yeah.
He's been, it'd be awesome. Like it would
smile.
be, it would be
joyful. Look how joyful.
It'd be hilarious
about it.
It would be so funny. And like, still everybody, like, even if he did well, it'd be like, yes, he can win in the Mountain West. Good job. Congratulations. And it's like, but we all know when the lights are brightest and the stage is the biggest, you don't do anything. I hope it happens. It'd be hilarious.
They got a good walk-on program at Boise. That's good walk-on program.
It's great. Grass is a different color.
Yep. Sure is. Grass is always greener unless it's bluer.
Yeah, unless you're in Boise.
Anyway, there you go. All right. That was fun.
Whatever. That was fun. I didn't expect that reaction when you asked me that question. So there we are. I think that about does it for today's show.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Remember, everyone has vices. Make sure Village Vice is one of yours.